This is Cashflow Ninja, episode 277 with Marco Santarelli.
Welcome to the Cashflow Ninja, the podcast sharing how to create income streams and manage, multiply, and protect your wealth in the new economy. Here is your host inside the dojo, MC Laubscher.
Hello, Cashflow Ninjas. MC Laubscher here, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Ninja. I have a great show for you today, and in today's show, we're going to look at a cannabis cash flow opportunity. I'm joined by my friend Marco Santarelli on today's show. Marco is an investor, author, and the founder of Norada Real Estate Investments, a nationwide provider of turnkey cash flow rental properties. Since 2004, they have helped over 1,000 real estate investors create wealth and cash flow through real estate. He's also the host of the Passive Real Estate Investing podcast. In today's show, Marco will share information about the cannabis industry, the market impact of it, the project he's currently working on, and the opportunity he's currently offering. Please share your feedback and thoughts on today's interview. You can let me know your thoughts on Twitter by tweeting me at MC Laubscher or by email at info@cashflowninja.com. And please remember to join our mailing list by signing up at cashflowninja.com or texting Cashflow Ninja to 44222. I'm publishing weekly and daily videos on YouTube. You can check out all of my videos at youtube.com/Cashflow Ninja. Please subscribe to my channel to get updates when I post these videos. Life settlement investments have allowed financial and banking institutions to not only buy their equity contractually, but also diversify their capital from any economic, market, and geopolitical risk. It's been part of the billion-dollar blueprint followed by institutional investors. And if you are an accredited investor, you can also now participate in this vehicle with enormous growth potential. You can watch an informational webinar presented by one of the premier organizations providing life settlement investments, Penumbra Solutions, at cashflowninja.com/life settlements. Blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies will not only disrupt money, but every industry on the planet. These new innovations and technologies will affect every area of our lives in the future. The cryptocurrency course teaches you everything you need to know about getting started and profiting with cryptocurrencies and includes expert training from the top crypto experts in the world. You'll learn how to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies, how to safely store your crypto, how to become a sound investor, even if you're just a beginner, and how to apply blockchain technology to your business. You can watch a free crypto masterclass and grab the crypto course at cashflowninja.com/crypto course. The wealthiest investors on the planet know how to capture their wealth and leverage it to perpetually grow it. If you're interested in learning the premier strategies of the wealthiest individuals and families on the planet, you can access your free webinar at cashflowninja.com/be-the-bank. Marco, welcome to the show.
Thanks, MC. Great to be here again.
Yeah, fantastic having you on, and it was great to connect at a conference that we were both at, the 10X Growth Con. So it was fun spending some time with you. What have you been up to since the conference?
Well, I'd like to say, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, we're just crushing it. Real estate's very busy across the country, and as you know, and probably some of your listeners, that's our core business is investment real estate. And so that's been very busy, but being an entrepreneur, MC, I get involved in other projects, and so I'm actually a partner in not one but two cannabis projects that have real estate as its underlying asset, but these are actually grow operations. So that's something that I guess we're going to talk a little bit about today.
Yeah, it really, really piqued my interest, and very, very intriguing and interesting. And I love how the deal is put together, and we'll jump into that. But before we get to the specifics of this project, can you give my listeners a little bit of an industry overview about the cannabis industry?
Yeah, I'm going to try to keep it little. So let's talk about the state of the industry, and then you can ask any questions you want, because from there I think we can segue into the size, scope, and views of the industry. But let's talk about the state of the industry. I think everybody has heard time and time again in the media that, that cannabis is a strong growing industry, that marijuana is being legalized state by state. Really what's happening is the marijuana floodgates are bursting wide open. And this has been a movement that has been many, many years in the making, because the United States is actually behind many other countries when it comes to legalization of marijuana. You could take Canada as an example. In Canada, marijuana has been legalized in all the provinces for a while, and just recently it's been legalized at the national level. And this is true for many countries around the world. So what most people don't know, MC, is that legal marijuana is now the fastest growing industry in the world, not just in the United States, but in the world.
Wow.
So if you look at the United States alone, the cannabis industry raised over $730 million last year in 2017. And combine that with 2016, we're looking at $1.6 billion of real money, institutional money, investment capital coming into this industry, because it is expected to just continue to grow and explode, which we'll touch upon here in a sec. But, you look at retail sales last year, it hit close to $6.1 billion, retail sales in the United States of cannabis. And if that wasn't big enough, on January 1st of 2018, this year, California, as many people have heard, they legalized recreational marijuana, which is what many refer to as adult use. But what's the significance of that? That has been said by many industry experts to have unleashed a $50 billion industry. So we're talking an enormous industry here. So as of last year, the cannabis industry has employed 165,000 people, and that number continues to grow month after month. So how big is this in the United States? Right now, there are 29 states that have legalized medicinal marijuana. Actually, I take that back. It's now 30. And that doesn't even include the District of Columbia, so DC. So we have 30 states plus DC, and we have 9 states that have approved recreational use. And this is sweeping across the country, and it ultimately will be in every state, and it will be, of course, legalized at the federal level once they put some framework in place, some regulations to manage it at a high level. But really, the administration wants to push this down to the state level and have it controlled, just like cigarettes, just like alcohol. So let me pause there. Do you have any questions about the size and scope of what we're talking about?
I just think that the California legalization for recreational is enormous. It's one of the largest economies in the world. So just the economic impact of California alone, I mean, you talk about a turbo boost to this industry this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, California by itself as just an economy is about the 7th largest in the world, and that changes year to year. But, if you look at California as its own economy, it ranks up there in the top 10 worldwide. But now you throw the legalization of medicinal and recreational cannabis in the state of California, opening up what they're referring to as a $50 billion industry. I mean, we're talking about a lot of opportunity to make money in this industry. And we'll talk about that here in a minute as far as how you can go about doing that. But before we do that, let me just touch upon a couple of random things, if you will. What's interesting to note is the views on legalization. Some people have a moral issue or an ethical issue about it. What I've come to find out is that's a minority of people, because a lot of people have been, and I hate to use the word brainwashed, but they've been just indoctrinated because of media, mostly the media, but people out there saying that, cannabis is a gateway drug, which it's not, or cannabis is, it's a soft drug, but it leads to other things. Well, that is not true. That's a myth. There's many myths in this industry that have been just covered up or exasperated by misinformation and the media. But last year, New Frontier Data did a study called the Cannabis Attitude Survey, and they took a look at, what people's attitudes were on cannabis legalization. And they found that 55% of the people surveyed said that cannabis should be legalized and regulated and taxed like cigarettes and alcohol. If you look at the flip side of this survey, only 9% of those people said that cannabis should be illegal. Only 9%. and only 3% said they don't know. So we're talking like less than 10% of people who have some sort of issue with it, whether it's legal or ethical or moral or whatever the case is. So, that trend is continuing. When you look at retail sales, like I said before, we've hit $1.8 billion last year in terms of, I think that was recreational. So all in all, we were looking at $6.1 billion in sales. And this year in 2018, that's projected to be close to $8.8 billion. And if you look at a chart, which you can't see on this podcast, but if you were to look at it, you would see that this graph is increasing year over year over year until 2022. And we're seeing it pop the $20 billion mark come 2022.
That's huge. That is enormous growth.
It is. I mean, you compare cannabis to beer. Beer is a $106 billion industry. Who would have thought, right? But beer is a massive industry. Right now, where cannabis sits in terms of recreational and medicinal, we're at the $45 to $50 billion mark. Cigarettes is a $77 billion industry. Nutraceuticals is a $70 billion industry. But look at these other big industries that we know about, like movie tickets. You look at movie tickets in Canada and the United States. If you add it all up, it's only, I say only in quotes, but $11 billion. So already cannabis at where it's at today in the United States is already 5 times the size of the movie industry.
And does this include the pick and shovel businesses too, the supporting businesses, which I'm assuming legal is a big one, and all the other supportive industries?
That's a great question. So no, this is just retail sales. This is sales through legal, not black market, but legal channels, through dispensaries, and that's both combined medicinal and recreational. But your question is a great question, and here's why. Because for every dollar that comes in through patients and consumers that are spent at dispensaries, right, that $1 has a trickle down effect. It injects another $3 in economic activity or economic benefits into these markets, these cities, states, that have supporting industries to support the cannabis industry. So it has a 1 to 3 effect. So every dollar spent in cannabis results in $3 of economic benefits to the local market.
What has been some of the success stories around the economic impact in, for instance, tax collection is something that comes up in, for instance, Colorado. They've generated a lot more taxes as a result of the growing industry, correct?
Yeah, so you look at the Colorado market, the tax revenue that the state has taken in has been in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's just reported. You have to remember that this is slowly working its way out of being a cash-only business into an industry that actually has bank accounts and can do transactions through the large banks. You can't do that today. You have to work with local, regional banks, credit unions, people who are allowing cannabis-related businesses to open up bank accounts. So as far as those legal businesses that have reported taxes and actually have paid taxes, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars into the Colorado market. California's, I can't remember the exact number, but again, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars of reported and collected tax revenue. But let's take that one step further. There's a projection here for the potential federal cannabis revenue under a 15% federal tax, a cannabis tax, which is not in place today, I don't believe. Actually, I may be wrong. I think that is in place, but it is coming regardless. What they're projecting, actually it's beyond a projection, they're saying this is the potential tax revenue. If you were to add up the tax revenues from this year, 2018 through 2025, based on retail sales, and you add the payroll deductions, for people employed in this industry, and the federal business tax revenues, they're saying that the federal government will make $105.6 billion with a B, $billion of combined projected taxes. So clearly there's a lot of money to be made here that can help pay off state debt, federal debt. I mean, the U.S. Treasury, this is going to be a boon for the U.S. Treasury.
it's quite a remarkable, and this growth too. Like I've seen in several industries that are emerging, there's a lot of misinformation out there too. But for instance, like I know that there were banks struggling to deal with taking on clients that were involved in some way, shape in the cannabis. There's been changes to that as well, and then murmurs from Jeff Sessions, for instance, on the legalities of it. But this, even with all of this in place, this industry has just kept on growing and expanding, it seems, Marco.
Absolutely. So Attorney General Jeff Sessions' attempt to crack down against legal marijuana at the state level really has just backfired on him. It has started the unthinkable. You just look at what's going on the state level. There's been actually a lot of pushback saying, just stay off my turf. This is a state affair. We're regulating it. We're legalizing it. We're issuing, the licenses for it. The Chicago Tribune wrote Jeff Sessions just helped to cause the entire legalization of pot. Forbes wrote GOP and Democratic gubernatorial candidates agree that they should legalize marijuana. The Daily Beast reported that Republicans to Jeff Sessions, get your hands off our weed. I mean, there was just an explosion in terms of reaction to Jeff Sessions' attempted crackdown. And honestly, this is my personal opinion. This is not, written anywhere. I think that was really just a political play, a move by the Trump administration to, again, this is my personal opinion, but I think that was really just a play to say, look, if we're going to allow illegals to stay in the country in safe harbor cities, and you're not going to enforce federal law on these illegal foreign nationals that are coming into the country, then you can't be a hypocrite. You can't have it both ways. If you're not going to enforce that, then you can't really be enforcing any kind of federal laws at the state level when it comes to cannabis. So I think that was a brilliant move on Trump's administration.
Yeah, and another thing that I'll just a quick comment about the industry itself is if you're a new listener and this is something new to you and you don't have much knowledge of the industry, just what I've learned from people that are involved in it and have knowledge of the industry, there are, as Marco's explaining just through the growth, big businessmen and women coming into this and companies. So these are business professionals coming in here. These are not guys sitting in a basement, rolling a doobie and smoking weed and saying, hey, we should go, we should buy some land and grow our own stuff. We've got professional agricultural folks from the business side coming in and looking at this as a viable commercial opportunity. And these are the operators in the space. So I just wanted to throw that in there as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, MC. And I'm going to add to that. I'm sure probably a good number of your listeners are familiar with a show that's on CNBC called The Profit. And I forgot the guy's name is Marcus something. Maybe you're familiar with it, but there's a weekly show called The Profit, and it's a business reality show. And are you familiar with the show by any chance?
I've heard of it, I've just as much knowledge as you as with the guy's name. I was just going to say Marcus something.
Okay, well, you've heard of Shark Tank, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, if you like that theme, if you like that genre of show, the Shark Tank, that's kind of a real world, real money, real investing reality show. The Profit is the same way. We're talking about a very, very smart businessman that has lots of money, and he goes in and he either buys companies or he saves companies. He puts his own money into them. But he did 2 episodes. He did one in August, which was literally a jaw dropper. When I was watching it, I caught myself 2 or 3 times with my jaw wide open. I didn't even know I was doing that. But as I was watching the show, I caught myself with my jaw wide open. He spent an entire 1-hour episode coming out to California and doing a research trip or an investigation into the California cannabis industry. And what was mind-blowing about this episode, and you can find it online, by the way, what was mind-boggling about this episode is how much professional institutional money has been put into the cannabis industry and at what scale we are talking about in terms of operations. We're talking very large grow operations. We're talking about professional large-scale manufacturing. We're talking about edibles of all kinds being made from cannabis plants. We're talking about dispensaries that you can walk into throughout the state of California and around the country that have literally been built on millions of dollars, meaning that when you walk in, it's a complete Starbucks experience. It's clean. It's bright. There's professional staff. They educate you on the different strains of cannabis and what you can purchase. It's like buying wine or buying coffee. You know, there's different types for different needs from different parts of the world. It's an unbelievable experience. It's not mom and pop by any stretch. We're talking high tech, professional, large-scale institutional businesses at this point.
You're listening to Marco Santarelli on the Cashflow Ninja podcast. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. This is MC Laubscher, the host of the Cashflow Ninja podcast. As you may know, I'm also the president and chief wealth strategist of Valhalla Wealth Financial. We help individuals, families, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and professionals build their wealth outside of Wall Street and help investors maximize the use of every dollar in their personal economy and boost their investment gains. We do this by combining the capital and investments with the financial vehicle of the wealthy according to the infinite banking concept. If you're interested to learn more about privatized banking and the infinite banking concept, you can access an exclusive webinar at cashflowninja.com/be the bank.
Are you on track to achieve your financial goals? Income-producing real estate is the most historically proven way to accumulate wealth and has created more financial freedom than any other means. Norada Real Estate provides everything you need to invest in the best turnkey cash flow rental properties. Our simple, proven system will help you create real wealth and passive monthly income. Get your free strategy session with our knowledgeable investment counselors at noradarealestate.com. That's NORADA realestate.com.
You're listening to Marco Santarelli on the Cashflow Ninja podcast, and now back to our interview. Let's touch a little bit on the project that you're involved with, Marco. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, perfect. So I was ready to do that. So good segue here. So I've aligned myself. I have two projects, two full green light moving forward cannabis developments that are in play right now, and the key to these two projects, and I'm only going to talk about one of them today, but the key is that you have a license, because you don't have a business and you cannot grow and or sell cannabis without the license. And we actually have multiple licenses on both of these projects. So the one I'm referring to specifically here is what we refer to as Garnet Farms. And it is located in Palm Springs, right in the heart of Palm Springs, right along the I-10 freeway, which is an amazing location. My partner actually owns the land, so he's bringing the land to the party, if you will. So we have over 110,000 cars that drive by this site every day. It's a very large parcel of land located, right in the heart of Palm Desert. So we've got Palm Springs to the south. We have Desert Hot Springs to the north. And for many people who've heard of Coachella Valley, the big concerts that happen at Coachella.
Right.
That's where we're located. We're right at the gateway to Coachella Valley. So we're strategically located at a place where we can attract business from miles and miles and miles around. Plus, we're able to, of course, sell the cannabis that we grow within our facilities to any facility within the state of California. But essentially what we're building is a unique mixed-use development that's comprised of 2 dispensaries and 4 cultivation buildings, or cultivation centers, if you will, that will be both cultivation and manufacturing. When we originally set out to do this project, we were planning to build 60,000 square feet. In my recent meeting with my partner a couple of weeks ago, we just decided to bump up the construction cost by a little and build a second floor on these buildings. So we're now looking at 90,000 square feet of cultivation space. And what we're going to build is an advanced state-of-the-art technology facility that's designed to be the most efficient and eco-friendly cultivation and manufacturing facility possible. So it's going to be a showpiece for the state of California. And our business is multifold. We're a grow operation. first and foremost. We have 2 dispensaries, but we also have the license and ability to distribute, manufacture, grow, and sell cannabis. So that's really 4 licenses, and we're the only company in the world, actually. We're the only company, period, to actually have all 4 licenses for the Palm Springs area. In fact, as far as I know, I don't think there's anybody else in the state of California that has actually all 4 licenses at the same time. So it's kind of a unique position.
Very interesting.
So, where did I leave off here? So, just a couple little tidbits about, our business here, our partnership. We hold a particular competitive advantage because we actually have some proprietary strains of cannabis that are low in the THC, which for people who don't understand that, the THC is the substance in cannabis that gives you the buzz or makes you high. So it's very low in THC, and it's very high in that medicinal component called CBD. The CBD oil is what has that medicinal quality, which is helping people with cancer or cancer treatments, with glaucoma, with seizures, epilepsy. I mean, there's a long list of health benefits that come from cannabis. And that's the amazing thing about it, is it has many medicinal properties, but it cannot be necessarily patented. This is why pharmaceuticals are not chasing it specifically, because they can't patent it. But there are a lot of medicinal benefits, and you just have to go to a search engine and type in medicinal properties of cannabis, and you can find all kinds of stuff that it's useful for. But we have exclusive rights to certain strains, like one called Vita J, that have enormous success with cancer and epileptic patients, both in California and Oregon. And on top of that, our executive team, we have extensive expertise. We have proprietary branded products. We have years of experience in the cannabis-related business and in activities. In fact, our chief grower, a guy named John Hanna, he's a professional grower. He and his family have actually grown up in the cannabis space, and to this day, John actually manages over 214,000 square feet of cultivation space, mostly in Florida, but he's considered one of the top professional growers in the country. So he is actually our business partner. So what else can I tell you about this? Like I said, our project is located right along the Interstate 10 freeway in Palm Springs. We're building some beautiful state-of-the-art facilities. And I hate to use the term cash cow, but anybody listening to this by this point has figured out that this is very much a cash cow business. So in terms of the opportunity, maybe I'll swing into that, MC.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to ask you too, is there, who will be managing this? Who's part of the management team to complete it? I mean, because you've got a power team there already. One of the people involved with this project is a partner, is one of the top growers. But if you could touch a little bit more on the management before you dive into the opportunity.
Yeah, so my partner, Michael Fine, he's a well-known architect in the state of California. He's been engaged in commercial real estate investment and development for decades. He's designed Starbucks buildings, multi-use commercial buildings. He has a good relationship with a lot of city council members, and this is one of the foot in the door situations we had with the city of Palm Springs, which is why, we were able to get the permitting that we needed with the land that Michael has there, in terms of getting these licenses approved, which we have in hand today. Mm-hmm. So, Michael heads up kind of the head of the executive team, if you will. Our professional grower, John Hanna, is, a co-founder and partner. I'm more on the advisory side. I might end up being on the executive, team, but I don't necessarily need to be, because I'm more on the investor relations strategic side of the business in terms of financing. But then we're going to have a team of middle management people to run the day-to-day operations. And then, of course, there's going to be people who are cultivators, harvesters, people in the space, on the day-to-day side of actually planting, seeding, harvesting, and managing the grow operation specifically. And then the 2 dispensaries are retail operations. So at that point, we're going to have essentially what, the kind of like the support staff or the front end retail staff that you would find like at a Starbucks, for example, that would be there to serve customers that come in for cannabis, looking for education and selection and retail sales. So, there's a bit of a hierarchy of people there, but that's essentially what it would look like.
Fantastic. Let's dive into the opportunity. If you could share a little bit more of that with my listeners.
Sure. So it's kind of hard to show a spreadsheet, in an audio format, but I'll give you kind of some highlights. Again, I hate to call this cash cow, but it really is. The amount of revenue that's generated from the sale, even at wholesale on the cannabis side, is literally in the millions of dollars per quarter. So we have a lot of gross revenue coming in, and we don't have very high expenses in terms of operations. The injection of capital really on the front end is really in the development, the building or construction of the buildings, I should say. So we have some operating expenses and shareholder draws and whatnot, but our gross profit is literally in the millions of dollars per year, and in fact, it's actually on a per quarter basis. But we expect our operations to be generating over $20 million per year, and that's a conservative number. But what we're offering to investors right now is, and I'll summarize this because it's pretty easy to understand. We're providing a limited opportunity because we're only raising about $2 million. We could pump it to $4 million, but we really only are looking to raise $2 million from outside capital. And those monies are going to be, the investment is based on a 4-year note. It's a 4-year promissory note, which means that we will be paying the investors back a minimum of 15%, and that can go up to 20% per year, depending on their level of their investment. So we like to keep the minimum investment at $100K. We have made exceptions at $50K, but we'd like to try and keep it at $100K just to have a fewer number of people. But what they would receive for that investment is a 15 to 20% rate of return per year, every year for 4 years. The payments are made quarterly. We believe the first distribution will be in the fourth quarter of this year. It could be in the third. I like to be ultra conservative. I almost want to say January of 2019, but let's just call it fourth quarter. So they would receive interest every quarter. And then when that note matures in 4 years, they would be repaid their principal back in its entirety. So they would receive all that interest. There's one more kicker to this. The downtime, if you will, or the dormant period between now when they fund that note to the day they get that first distribution, let's call it the fourth quarter of this year, their monies are accruing 5% interest while it's quote unquote sitting there. And that will be repaid to them along with the principal at the note maturity. So we had our attorney do that because we knew that there was going to be a long wait period before they start getting distributions. And so we wanted to kind of sweeten the pot and allow them to earn interest while they're waiting. And so in a nutshell, that's about the simplicity of it.
And after 4 years, once they've gotten the money back, what are some of the options for investors in this project?
So what I was just talking about is actually our second cannabis project. We've already done one in Oregon. And so this is our second project. And right now we are actually looking at 2 to 3 other projects that are coming up that will be equity plays, not so much debt plays like this one. They'll be equity based. There's one in Paso Robles, California. There's going to be one in New Mexico, and we're potentially looking at another one in Oregon. So the reason I'm telling you about these 3 new ones that would be coming up in the years to come, well, I shouldn't even say years. I would say as early as late this year, but potentially next year, is this. The people who invest with us here on this project will have first right of refusal on coming into these future projects. So as they're making money, while they're making money on this project and, of course, our Oregon project, those investors will have rights of refusal to future projects.
Marco, where can my listeners reach out to you to get in touch if they're interested in participating in this opportunity?
Yeah, so I've put together a PDF packet, an investor packet that goes over everything I just talked about today and then some. And I can certainly make that available to people. Now, this is MCU. This is something we actually didn't talk about before we started recording here online. So I'm going to say let's use my Global Growables email address, which is different than my real estate company, just to keep them separate. So I guess the best thing to do is just email me directly, and it would be Marco, MARCO, at Global Growables. That's GROWABLES, growables.com. So again, Marco at globalgrowables.com. That's probably the best way. And then I'll just reply back, and I'll send people, the info packet that I was talking about.
Great. Now, and if somebody's got maybe issues of getting through to that email address, send it to me at info@cashflowninja.com as well. I'll forward it to Marco. We'll do
Perfect.
it that way too, just to make sure that that they'll get a hold of you. Fantastic. A lot of exciting stuff. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing all of your knowledge and all of this information on this industry. I don't think a lot of people quite understand the enormous opportunity that it provides, and also how it's growing at such a rate and the economic impact of it. So I really appreciate it, Marco. Any parting words for my listeners?
No, it's just I want to thank you for the time today, and allowing me to share this with other people. Hopefully we can help people make some additional income. By the way, actually, you just reminded me of something real quick that I forgot to mention, and I was thinking about it. When you have a note structure like this type of investment, it's perfect for self-directed retirement accounts, like self-directed IRAs, because you want to grow your retirement account as quickly and as much as you possibly can. Interest income is a great way to do that. Because notes don't have necessarily a tax benefit, which you couldn't use in an IRA. Yep. This is a perfect thing for a self-directed account.
Fantastic. And that actually triggers something that when you just mentioned that, I have a strategic partner that can convert IRAs into a self-directed IRA. So if that's an issue for you too, you can reach out to me and then reach out to Marco. How about that?
That's a perfect comment. Yes.
So great stuff, Marco. As always, a pleasure connecting, my friend. And thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your knowledge and providing so much value for my listeners.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you, MC. It's been fun.
Thank you for joining me again on the Cashflow Ninja, and thank you for all of your support. You rock. If you like what you hear and appreciate what we're trying to build here at the Cashflow Ninja, please subscribe, rate, and review our show on iTunes and share our show with family, friends, and your network. If you're not a subscriber to the Cashflow Ninja Gosh Good newsletter, you can sign up for our newsletter at cashflowninja.com or text Cashflow Ninja to 44222. Life settlement investments have allowed financial and banking institutions to not only buy their equity contractually, but also diversify their capital from any economic, market, and geopolitical risk. It's been part of the billion-dollar blueprint followed by institutional investors. And if you're an accredited investor, you now can also participate in this vehicle with enormous growth potential. You can watch an informational webinar presented by one of the premier organizations providing life settlement investments, Penumbra Solutions, at cashflowninja.com/life settlements. Blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies will not only disrupt money, but every industry on the planet. These new innovations and technologies will affect every area of our lives in the future. The cryptocurrency course teaches you everything you need to know about getting started and profiting with cryptocurrencies, and also includes expert training from the top crypto experts in the world. You will learn about how to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies, how to safely store your crypto, how to become a sound investor, even if you're just a beginner, and how to apply blockchain technology to your business. You can watch a free crypto masterclass and grab the crypto course at cashflowninja.com/crypto course. The wealthiest investors on the planet know how to capture their wealth and leverage it to perpetually grow it. If you're interested in learning the premier strategies of the wealthiest individuals and families on the planet, you can access your free webinar at cashflowninja.com/be the bank. That's our show for today, everyone. Until next time, live a life of passion and purpose on your terms. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objectives, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.